So Sean, I bought this thing. Now don't cringe, I know it's an Ibanez, and like me, you've never really been much of a fan. I've always seen them as a bit of a shredder guitar. The thing is though, I bet if you Googled shredder guitar, Charvel and Jackson would be in there somewhere. And we've actually got both of them. So I suppose it's not so much about the guitar, it's how it's played. And probably the person playing it. Playing this though is actually really good. It feels good and is easy to play. I was surprised at how good it was, having never played one before. These guitars though are well known for the wizard neck and their iconic wide flat fretboard, which was the specific reason for me choosing this. For what I have planned, it's going to be all about a wide, large radius fretboard with good accessibility. Okay, so why did I buy it? I'm going to have a go at converting the fretboard to a microtonal scale for you to use, if you like, and just experiment with. You seem to be into the whole microtonal thing and the more complex side of music. If this is a success and you like it, maybe use it to take things further. Think of it as a tool. If you don't end up using it, fine. It will hopefully be an interesting experience for me, and I'll end up with a fancy looking wall hanger. So about the guitar. It's a 2007 RG321 MH with mahogany body and hardtail bridge MH. It has a bound rosewood fretboard, 24 jumbo frets, 2 Ibanez Infinity pickups and 5-way switching. The scale length is 25.5 inches, which is about an inch longer than you're normally used to on your Gretsch, which is another reason for picking this. It makes more sense to put additional frets on a fretboard with a longer scale length, mainly for accessibility. The fretboard width and thickness is exactly the same as your old Randy Rhodes, all the way up to the 24th fret, but with a 15 3/4 inch radius instead of 16 inches. Getting a fixed bridge was important because I know you favour that over a Floyd Rose. It has a 3-piece laminated neck without a headstock scarf joint. Ibanez only do this now on their more expensive models. Everything else now has a 1-piece neck with a separate scarfed head. The finish on the body is called weathered black, which shows the mahogany grain, and was a satin polyurethane paint applied directly onto the mahogany. It was originally advertised as rugged, but was quite possibly a way of keeping production costs down. I bought this online and the previous owner accurately pointed out all the damage and photographed it in detail when I was buying it. There's a chip off the back of the bottom horn. There's a few dents and marks on the front and back, mainly buckle rash. There's a small dent in the rosewood fretboard at the 7th fret. I can probably fix all them when I'm doing what I have planned. There is no significant wear on the frets. The only thing that really needs to work though is the truss rod. The previous owner said that it had never been touched. The tuners turn smoothly and seem to stay in tune. The front of the headstock is in perfect condition. The pickup surrounds need a bit of a clean, and so do the bridge and saddles. I'll just do a few standard checks so I know where everything started at before doing any work. I'll start by checking the action. The action on the bottom E at the 12th fret is just over 1.5 mil, which is spot on 2/32 in old money, and spot on 1.5mm at the top E. To check the neck relief, I'll put a capo on the first fret and hold the strings down where the neck meets the body, which in this case is the 19th fret. The neck relief at the 6th fret is about 6 thou on the bottom E, and the same on the top E. To check the nut and the depth of the string slots, I'll hold each string down at the 2nd fret and press down on the 1st to show clearance. There should be the slightest of movement, but not too much. Some look good, some not so much, especially the top E. I can also use a feeler gauge without holding down the strings. 20 thou is recommended. This is more like 10 on the bottom E, maybe less than that on the top E. I'll check it again when all the work is done. I can use a straight edge across the frets to check if they're consistent with the neck relief measurements. And a notch straight edge to check the gaps between the wood of the fretboard and the underside of the straight edge. I can compare this later when the neck is not under string tension. I'll tune it next and check the intonation. Good enough for now. Most importantly, does the truss rod work? I already took the truss rod cover off when it first arrived to make sure that the rod hadn't seized, and loosened it very slightly. Without taking any measurements, I just checked that it was free to move. Judging by the protective cover still on the plate, I don't think it's been touched since manufacture. Originally the neck relief was 6 thou at the 6th fret. I'll tighten it a couple of flats to see what effect that has. It's definitely coming down. I'll do it a couple of more flats to see what it's like then. That's more like 4 thou now, so it's doing what it should do. Obviously it straightens the neck. I'll loosen it as well though to see what happens then. I'll take it back the original 4 flats and back it off until it starts to become loose. So I could hear the truss rod moving in its slot, so it's not binding or seizing, and the neck relief now is considerable. So that's free to move in both directions. Putting the notched straight edge on as well also shows considerable difference to before. So the reason for that last check, apparently when frets are replaced, if the tangs on the replacement frets are wider than the originals, the neck can develop a back bow. So it stands to reason that putting in additional frets, effectively doubling them in this case, even if they had tangs the same width as the originals, a back bow could still develop. So now that I have an idea of the range of adjustment available, I think this neck would be compatible with the conversion. Even if there is an element of induced back bow from the refretting, the amount of available adjustment in the truss rod should take me back to the original 6 thou neck relief and 1.5 mil string height, which is what it is now. If the truss rod has never been touched, it's more than likely that the pickup heights haven't been either. So I'll take a measurement of what they are, which will probably be factory spec. That's about 3.5 mil at the neck and about 3 at the bridge. The headstock is like the day it left the factory, so I'll leave it as is. Same on the back. I'll leave the model number and everything so people know it's not a fake. I'll put a really small radius on the edges by hand to match the already worn part. I think trying to restore this area to a sharp edge would be very difficult and probably pointless. For the rest of the body, I'm going to fill the grain for a smooth finish and paint it satin black. I think it would be good as well for the guitar to look as unique as it sounds. It's got to be a complete one-off and look like nothing else. So I think it would be different to have a single humbucker, but instead of having just a bridge pickup, it's going to have just a neck one, moved down about an inch or so. I've always thought that that was kind of a sweet spot for tone. This has got really high output pickups on here, so if you wanted to play something that needs a little bit of oomph, the neck pickup should still do it. This has an 11.9k resistance on the neck and 15.6 on the bridge. I'll just quickly strip the guitar to make sure everything's as it should be. This is all getting replaced, so I'll just cut the cables. Before I remove the bridge, I'll need to get an exact note of its location. If I run a straight edge along the side of the neck, it lines up exactly with the outside of the saddle. That gives me a center line. And the exact distance between the bridge and the neck is 143 millimeters. When I finish the bodywork, these holes will be plugged, so I'll have no reference points. Okay, so what's the plan? There are many different options for microtonal fretboard layout. Some are even adjustable, so it's difficult to know which one to commit to. After some consideration, I'm going to go with a fretboard layout that has 24 frets and 24 quarter notes to the octave. There'll be additional frets at every location, all the way up to the 15th fret. After that, I'll stop adding the microtonal frets and leave the fretboard standard. I'll need to decide as well whether to just add extra frets or whether to refret the whole neck. Just adding extra frets seems like a bit of a shortcut to me, so my plan is to refret the whole neck, and while all the frets are off, re-radius the fretboard from 15 3/4 inches, which it is now, to 16 inches. For the fret sizes, I'll go with what's on here already to keep some authenticity to the original RG321. I'll start work on the body first though. The existing pickup cavities will need to be plugged, so everything there will need to be given some curing time to prevent sinkage. There will also need to be some drying time between paint coats and some time at the end before the guitar is reassembled. I'll work on the neck during the drying times. The second of these two videos will be the finished project, where I'll go through all the work that was done. So I'll make a start and see how it goes.